right, welcome back. Starting here from main stage. I hope you guys enjoyed this presentation about hybrid work and you have some ideas, some inspiration, some new ways of how to approach this new environment we are all in. And now we're gonna go into a different field, a different area, and we have a very interesting panel coming in, and it's going to explore what are the new VC models. To introduce us this, I would like to welcome on stage, our virtual stage, Alina Nilsson, co-founder at Emerge, who will introduce the rest of the panel. Enjoy yourself and see you on the other side.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Wolf Summit. I'm quite excited to welcome our amazing two panelists today. So please meet Alexander Chekan, who is a founding team member and chief of staff at Palta, co-founding company. And we have Nina Alastruer, who's a principal at Demium, international talent investor. Hi, guys. So
Hi.
I'm quite excited because the topic that we have today is quite a little bit controversial because there are so many new emerging forms of investor-startup relations, and both of you represent quite like different, but at the same time similar approaches. So, Alex, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Palta does, its background, and in just explaining your own words, the co-founding company form, please.
Sure. Palta, as we say, is a co-founding company. So the co-founding means we partner with entrepreneurs and we build companies from the scratch, from the ground. And our focus is health and well-being technology. That's our like market we operate in. We built in there, and co-founding also means we are not just invest. Actually, if you'll approach us with your pitch deck as a startup, probably you won't invest like as a VC, but we can talk, we can discuss, and we can decide that we will build a company together for the health and well-being market.
We'll move towards building these relationships just in a moment. And Nina, please introduce Demium to us.
So Demium has a pretty new business model. So we like to help talent. That means individuals and also teams of people joining us. We like to help them to launch their ideas into market, to build the next service of the future. And so we are a kind of incubator and accelerator, equity-free incubator and accelerator that has a main goal to present the startups in front of our venture fund. It's a 50 million venture fund, and they can get their very first pre-seed investment with us.
Got it. Excellent. Well, before startups approach investors, right, they have different, well, either challenges or requests why they approach investors, right? So, I mean, the obvious thing is money, but then as we call it, like smart money, right? Especially in the very beginning, early stages of development, it's quite important for startups. So they are looking for access to network, to some expertise. So are there any other things that, your particular companies offer to the companies, or you think that startups need or don't need at the early stage, or like or as they progress with their company? Alex? Oh, okay. Nina.
Okay, so I'm an entrepreneur myself. I've created like three and a half startups, and I may say that the next one will be through Demium for sure. So imagine what the super fan I am of my own company. So we really help teams succeed. And the idea here is, as we make investments on the startups, and we can do follow-ons on the seed stage, we really want them to succeed. I mean, well, this is my task. I work helping invested startups to reach the seed round, where we can go and follow on. In this case, we are not leaders, but we will help them in the Series A and Series B. So when they join Demium, they pass this, let's say, maximum 6-month program. But of course, we have many examples of companies getting funded in 3 months. It depends on the team and the idea, etc. And they get everything. Meaning, they get whatever mentoring they need. Of course, they follow a program where they change a bit their mindset. When an entrepreneur reaches us, as we go pre-seed, meaning really pre-seed before they have developed the idea. And when they reach us, their mindset changes completely. They understand how to approach the market, how to get best advisors, how to prepare both strategy, everything. And this is very nice. So you see them since the very beginning until they pitch in front of the investors, and we are here to help.
It's quite interesting that you mentioned the mindset, Alex, but you also come in at the very early stage, right? When the company is just forming, right? So do you see different sort of requests from startups, their needs from the moment they sort of join you and you build the venture to the moment, they grow and become a unicorn, which you almost have?
I think, like, to summarize what we provide entrepreneurs, we provide them more confidence and courage, and we provide it through this co-founding approach. Because of course it's about financing the product. So our we are aiming to finance the company and the product, like, throughout the entire the life cycle, because our strategy is, like, to go public as a group. So we don't really need any external financing for a particular company. So we're kind of ready to provide it ourselves. And of course, it's about financing, but it's also about the product strategy. We work with the team on a, like, weekly and daily basis. We set up operations for them in different countries. We help and hire people for them, and we share our experiments and insights, and doing a lot of things. But of course, the downside of the model is also quite obvious, but maybe I will tell about it later.
Please do, because I'm quite curious to hear your thoughts on what's the difference between like a venture builder or a venture studio. Are these two actually the same things, and where does the co-founding company step in?
Venture builder and studio, I don't know if they're, like, exactly the same, or there are some peculiarities, peculiar differences, but it's maybe Nina will help me with that. But
in what I understand is that a venture builder is a company that gives the idea to the team. So they kind of hire the entrepreneurs to take the idea out in the market. This is what I understand from a venture builder.
You, Alex, have a slightly different approach, don't you?
It has a lot of similarities. I mean, we bet on the specific market, so we don't we like teach ourselves, don't fall in love into, like, a specific product or specific idea of the solving this problem. We bet on the market, because the big market forgive you some mistakes, and big and growing market allow you to make even more mistakes, right? And to find your way, to make this pivot throughout the first few years of building. But back to your question about the venture builders and venture studios, I think as I see, at least their like main say KPI for them is to raise the next round for this company, right? So they build and then push it towards like Series A or like post seed, whatever. And as I mentioned, as a co-founding company, so we built for Palta, for this group, for ecosystem. So we uh, if it is the right company, so we want to keep it around, and we don't really aim to like push it to the fundraising. As I mentioned, we are ready to like finance ourselves.
So basically, you have like a different. The difference is the sort of exit strategy for the C model. Because you also focus on talent when the companies join you. So how is your sort of strategy? Is it changing when the companies grow? Are you more sort of on a traditional VC side, trying to get them to the next round, or more like Alex explained?
Alina, this is a question for me. Sorry, because I missed the part of the very beginning. So our approach is different. There's a lot of noise in the market with the name under the name of incubation. Usually, an incubator or accelerator may take a stake of the company in exchange of services. That is a good approach. I mean, because they bring a lot of value. In our case, we jump free, and we bet on helping them build this next big thing. So we are completely agnostic to ideas, completely agnostic to everything. So we help, of course, we do a kind of competition every 2 months in every city in Europe where we are, and individuals and teams join the competition. So it's a selective process, and at the very end, after this all startup weekend that we call, the groups and the individuals start onboarding. That means that they will be able to join other entrepreneurs and decide the next big thing they want to do if they don't have any idea yet. So but in the market normally there's plenty of incubation programs and acceleration programs where they will give these services and a demo day at the very end, etc., in exchange of equity. And that's great. In our case, no. In our case, we are investors. We want to invest, but we want to help get invested. And then after, once we invest, and the goal now, the target of our venture fund is pre-seed. So we can do follow-ons on seed. So if you are betting in a company in a so initial phase, you want to follow on. And then after, a second venture fund that we're raising right now will be launching in 4 months to follow them in Series E and Series B. But in any case, we don't really act in this part. We just want to create big things, or to help people create big things, completely aside of everything, vertical industry, business model, etc.
And what's your, because you mentioned you welcome both individuals and startups. So what's the relationship between individuals and startups? Is it like, can they form teams during this first incubation period? Or
I mean,
they join existing startups, those
so we
individuals?
have an acceleration program and an incubation program. So it's a bit different. So instead of a maximum 6 months that a company may spend, is around 3 months. And in this case, they have to be in proceed, and they have to be incorporated and with a product already in the market. The only difference we change is the valuation of the company. but there's not that big difference. What happens to us normally is that a couple of people, a couple developers, couple people may join us with an idea or half idea developed, and they start like more late incubated companies because they have not launched, and the only thing they need is a bigger team and a clear strategy. But we have of every kind, different timing, different everything. Many of them also join us with no idea, just willing or with some ideas that we may help them change immediately. So if there's no market opportunity there. But we have entrepreneurs of every kind.
Okay, good. Well, we are sort of moving towards this building the relationships, right, and the talent, and it's well, it's sort of a logical thing to do once the company starts growing and they need to hire new people. And Alex, as far as I understand correctly, with the co-founding team, you can actually fill in some of the expertise in-house as the co-founding company. So can you tell a bit more, how does this process work? Maybe as an example on like, a hypothetical company. So what are the steps? Can you just take us through them?
Sure. At at Palta level, we have quite a few people who help. For example, with hiring, there is a team of say like 5 recruiters, and they help with some various positions, from the co-founders to engineers and analysts, etc. And the co-founders are like particularly interesting, of course, because if there is an entrepreneur and she's looking for someone who will like help operationally build the product, it's this process like isn't is not easy at all, right? So to find the right partner, first of all, it's kind of difficult in all aspects of the life, right? And then in business in particular. So you have to basically you like have a few meetings and then you have to decide, right? So move on or just or start working together. And in this case, what again, Palta provides the confidence to parties. I mean, they are sure that the startup won't disappear like tomorrow. There is a financing. There are like market. There are market salaries and clear strategy and this kind of stuff. So that's why they are much more comfortable in this matchmaking, because they get rid of like other uncertainties about the business. But there is still a lot of work on the like interpersonal level, of course, to effectively work with each other. And apart from recruitment, we also have strong marketing expertise in-house, tech expertise. We can basically, as we are very focused, so basically we can look at the tech stack that we used in other products and not reinvent the wheel, but use the same approach, or we can reinvent the wheel because there were some mistakes in this approach and we like lessons learned. And so there are a lot of decisions they can make much easier than in say the wild market environment.
It's actually quite a good thing to have on board, because myself being an entrepreneur, I can totally feel the pain of hiring people, and especially when you're at the early stages, you can't afford to have an HR process like specific processes in place, right? Like how do you onboard people? What are the best practices? And it just takes so much time, I think, from co-founders, because in the early days, the co-founder is the ultimate decision maker, which people join the team, right? Because they need to fit not just by the skill set, right? They have to fit with the like mentality, the vision, the drive, the energy, the culture. Even though if it's like, I don't know, like 3, 5 people, I think even if you can't explain that culture, but it's still there, right? It's just those values that drive people together. So how do you have maybe some tricks how founders how do you notice these things when you match make the co-founders and the sort of key employees?
Just to build on this time thing you mentioned, like 40% of founders' time is dedicated to fundraising, and I think the 40 more is for hiring. Of course, we cannot like
left on the product development, right, and strategy.
Yeah. So we cannot like eliminate this 40 for hiring at all, of course, because ultimately, as you said, they are decision makers who will join their teams, and I believe you cannot really outsource the hiring. You can outsource the funnel, right? And it's a huge benefit to have the recruitment team who will bring you the right options to the table, but at the end of the day, you have to talk with the people and to decide. We are not operating at the scale that maybe Demium has, so we are not really developed any like super special tools around the matchmaking, that just natural common sense things. So the team has to be complementary, and if we are talking about co-founders, so this entrepreneurial element on top of the hard skills must be present as well. The ability to solve problems that didn't exist like yesterday, right? So this is this entrepreneurship, this spirit of entrepreneurship.
That's a good one. Nina, do you have this sense of identifying this entrepreneurial characteristic?
Well, I have to say something. So we are now in 8 cities in Europe, and in every hub we have a head of talent. So normally a hub has 2 people oriented to business and 1 people completely focused on talent, and we call it HOT, so head of talent. And then of course incubation managers, etc., and other people helping. But for us it's basic. So to invest in these super early stage moments, we focus on 3 things. The first one is talent and the team, who they are, what is their vision, how determined they are. And the second thing, of course, a disruptive idea and then a growing market. But for us, talent is the key, meaning we may invest in a team. Normally, the minimum we like is 3 people, business, marketing, so acquisition, and software. But we may invest in a team that probably is launching a very disruptive idea, as what happened to us a few days ago in the insurtech area, and we don't really know. Even they try to take the very first conversion rates, etc. They come with letter of intents from companies, etc. We don't really know if that idea is going to succeed, but we know that the team is going to find or is going to be able to pivot if there's no market fit, and we invest. But we cannot ask that much in our case because we invest in Proceed. And Proceed is, I used to say, friends, family, and Demium. So there's nothing there. So we only can trust on the team. And for us, it's key. From my point of view, a personal point of view, I've also been head of incubation. So the most important part in a team is respect. So they have to be adults enough, meaning regardless the age they have, 20, 40, whatever, is respect. And then they have to share the vision. And if we get that, we have seen some teams, we have invested since last October in 60 companies, 60, they are a lot, and we go super fast. We may have 225 investments in 3 years. But we've seen teams where probably very good friends have a split. We have seen teams, so at the very end, it has to be a match on the vision and then respect. So the very first thing I say to them, whenever you have to take a decision, just throw a coin. So try not to get into emotional parts. And if a team can accept a decision taken by a coin, the team is going to succeed. Because they take out all personal ideas, and they both know how to play and take a decision rapidly. Here, we are not taking care as much as co-founders and as Alexander. We just help them understand how they have to be successful entrepreneurs, meaning alone, meaning they have to at some point become a unicorn, and they will feel very alone, even having us, having plenty of mentors, advisors, boards, etc. But we just try to give them mini tools to take decisions out of the emotions and out of the beliefs and other very routine inner things they may have, and then focus on the business.
And how do you do that? Because I wonder, among the audience, we have not only the founders, but may also be the corporate innovation teams and the other investors.
Well, we have also one key thing. We find some group of entrepreneurs or startups that are more, let's say, greedy in terms of stock. They don't want to give many shares to other future co-founders, etc. But at the very end, as many VC funds out there, we have a reverse vesting clause. Why? Because we want to protect the team if at some point a co-founder wants to leave or etc. And this is a very good way to just start and try. And if things don't go well, we'll change. And so if we that go super fast would stop a lot about. So for us, is we have a very startup mindset as a company. So it's much better to do a mistake and correct it super soon than get paralyzed because we don't find the right solution out there. And well, all the company, all of us that are completely delocalized, we work from different cities, etc., even in the venture fund, are very used. So all of us are entrepreneurs, so are very used to these fast taken decisions, and always trying to. So if once you know what you're gonna lose, and in case you fail, everything is much easier. But of course, we have some mini tools to help teams, etc. Dynamics. See.
Destiny, right? Well, you mentioned, both of you, actually building this trustful relationship, right, with the teams, and as an institution with the teams, but also like the relationship within the team. And I wonder, I mean, maybe you have some examples to share, like how, like what are the tools, or is it even possible to have like a long-term trustful relationship between the institution, not just an individual, right, but an institution and a startup? Because especially when the startup is growing, they come from one investor to another investor, and then at the end of the day, they may have so many people sitting in their boards and so many shareholders. So how close that relationship can actually be, and how meaningful and what value can it give? I mean, given that you've invested at the very beginning and then the company progresses and then maybe they don't need you at that point, or do you see companies still coming back to you even when they're raising their Series B and onwards? Alex, do you have any examples? Because I know that your company is also have grown dramatically fast, right? From just being tens of people and then hundreds.
Yeah, and they're staying with us. I mean, as I mentioned, we support them also by investing further on the later rounds, on and on.
Are there tips for founders to stay in touch with institutional?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are building the culture of the sharing and collaboration, and it works in different directions. So we have I think now it's quite a long list of different events for different teams, not only for founders. Of course, they talk to each other every day, but I mean, we have this meetups for growth or product marketing, UX research, content, localization, and tech and data science teams. We have the finally again offline events for them as well. So we are stay in touch is not the right word probably, because we are building more and more these touch points within the entire organization.
So that's interesting. So you are basically the initiator for building those touch points, right? When the company grows. And Nina, do you build any touch points after the company leaves the accelerator to keep up?
Yeah. So I mean, the great thing is that WhatsApp exists. This is key, but also Discord, Slack, etc. So we have plenty of groups. But what happens to us is that of course, when you have them here and they are a team of 10 is one thing. When they are a team of 200 is another thing, or of course 1,000. But there's always a message there. And what we do organically, I don't know why, but it happens. We share many groups, and they help each other among them, independently the stage, the moment they got funded, etc. And even a company raising a 50 million round may put a message, hey, what do you think if we do that? And it's a different approach. They are super busy, they are opening other countries far away, etc. But we are very spontaneous, meaning it's like a family. Meaning they help each other, and we also organize. So, for instance, our approach to Web Summit, the very first thing, of course, we say who wants to have a booth, etc., to everybody. We focus more in the more early stage, but we say that to everybody. And at some point, we just say, hey, who is going to attend? Because we are going to prepare a party. And we used to prepare a party depending how many CEOs, co-founders, or people are going to the trade show. Independently, they have a booth or not, among all the cities. So this is normal. We used to prepare a party for ourselves, so that people from Poland can meet people from Kiev, from Greece, and from Lisbon and Barcelona. And they meet there. And they put faces, because they may be in the same chat, in whatever. The bad thing in WhatsApp is that we can only be 256 there, but we have plenty of groups, and they help each other. And then after, with regards to me, we start building relationships in order for the big ones help the younger ones. And it happens to us that, let's say, I'm going to introduce a company to, well, my position shouldn't exist, but it exists to help. but it shouldn't exist because they already got funded and they can just call us, hey, I'm going to close the seat. Okay, I want to go or I don't want to go. But we exist. So as we are so entrepreneurs, we help whenever they need. And at some point, I used to text everybody because I have no time. There's no enough time in the agenda, etc. for so many things we do. And I text somebody and say, hey, I'm going to introduce you to that venture fund in whatever. Say, Nina, Mike passed it to me 2 weeks ago and I contacted them. And Mike is another entrepreneur. So that's very nice. We saw that. I mean, or for instance, they put a message like, anybody very good in acquisition for AdWords or in this area? Do you know anybody? And this is very nice because they replied to the other one, regardless the size, the number of employees they have, or the run they are. That's very nice.
Do you actually collaborate with other VCs or like corporate VCs? Alex, more question for you. Your
We
sort of model doesn't imply actually, so you are like a full service investor.
Yes, but we also raise for ourselves, and yeah, so we collaborate, of course, on that matter.
But I meant for startups.
As Floyd is big enough, they've raised recently. They've basically, like Palta and Flo, raised simultaneously from the same investors, because Flo is just big.
Mention for those who don't know Flow. Flow, it's
Flo is a women's health app. It's the most popular product in on App Store and health and well-being, health and wellness, health and fitness, sorry, category. It has over 40 million monthly active users. So it is big. And regarding your previous question as well, it is interesting about this collaboration between companies that it's quite obvious that, okay, we have this massive Flow and our other health tech products can follow the path. It's like common sense, right? But the interesting thing is like unconventional that actually Flow benefits a lot from learning from these smaller companies because they do a lot of experiments. They do a lot of different pivots inside these smaller products as well, and so Flow basically takes the insights from them, and on their magnitude, on their scale, the result is drastically different, right? And so it's not obvious when you think about it.
That's just interesting because basically Flow is almost the size as like a big corporate, right? And just last question from me before we finish. And by the way, guys, you can leave your questions to us. So we are about to finish the panel. But a final question from me. So what, just a quick answer, what advice could you give to other forms of investors that are different from yours? Could be just a VC or like a super angel or a corporate VC. What could they learn from your model and could benefit theirs? What do you think that could be? Maybe something about the openness and sharing.
I don't know if I may. I mean, people are asking about what's so smart about your smart money, and so the better your answer is, so the better talent and the better companies you will attract. So yeah, the approaches might be very different as we can see.
Because I see like lots of VCs start like differentiating their sort of smart aspect. It could be like, oh, we help you with PR, or we help you with I don't know, access to this market.
You know, the other side of the spectrum is also very interesting. That I've heard some value propositions like, we invest and we basically don't bother you for the next years. That's also kind of valuable, because if you're in
That's super good.
between, it's probably the worst. Where you either like shall be like very helpful, or don't bother the entrepreneurs.
I actually know such angel investor. He invests around like 3 companies per month. And that's his also value proposition, that like we act as a partner, but we don't interfere in your sort of operations. We give you freedom. But what's your, Nina, opinion on that?
I think an entrepreneur should look for money and forget the rest, because we love VCs that are really in the arena, smart, etc., etc., and we love them. And of course, as company, we love everybody. But as entrepreneurs, they want to be better with this VC fund and not that one. And at the very end, you want to have somebody aboard which you can trust, and at some point raise the phone and say, hey, is there anybody in that company you can introduce to me? But you don't really want people in the board that are going to tell you what you have to do. So, what happens in some companies, and we see it globally, from time to time, partner of a VC may think that they know more about the industry than their own team. And from my point of view, the team is always going to be ahead. So, and I've seen some boards where they struggle. So, or the COVID comes, and what to do? You have to fire everybody. Wait a second, I don't want to fire everybody because I want to raise sales. So it's complex. It's complex. So I would take the money and run. And then after, if they're nice guys, nice people, and I can text or make a call, I would do that. So, and of course, there's plenty of VCs. Well, we do that for other people as well. But there's plenty of VCs out there that may not invest in you, but they do intros for you, or they open 3 doors in 3 corporates for sales, and that's super good. That is
Because
really smart.
that's their way to start building relationship early on, as they say. Yeah, if you want money, go for advice, and vice versa. But look, guys, it was really nice chatting with you today. I think we do agree all that relationships do matter, but money also matters. So thanks for staying with us today. And I think feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn for any, I don't know, additional intros, questions.
I will connect to Alex about Femtech.
Sure, sure. Thank you, Nina. Thank you, Alina.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, welcome back to the main stage for one last time. My name is Toyan, and it's been such a pleasure being with you guys for the last 3 days. We are far from over, though. I'd like to invite all of you to move to the Great Pitch Contest stage, because we're about to experience the finals. That's right, the finals. So everybody who's here on the 4th floor of Concordia Design, I would like to invite you to go to the ground floor and let's fill in the stage. It's going to be a lot